Welcome everyone to our weekly Soul Changes Lives webinar. My name is Debbie Perez Cockburn. I am your moderator for this week. As usual, we are going to do a little bit of housekeeping. I am not a doctor. I do not prescribe. I do not dish on doctors. I don't treat disease or illnesses, but I do love to talk about natural health and how the body can heal itself when it is given the right nutrition. Normally we start with a testimonial. I have a very different testimonial this week. It comes from my friend Valerie Bledsoe, who's been in the health industry for over 40 years, and she's going to share her story, after which we will have a product discussion this week on the product called SolleComplete. Probably see it better back here. I apologize, my shades haven't arrived, so the sun is shining right now in my face, so I really can't see a lot of things going on. We'll have a discussion on SolleComplete. And then Dr. Hugh Jenkins will go ahead and do our health tip the way he has done every 2 weeks on our webinar. So let's go ahead and share my screen and go ahead and share this with you.
Those of you who don't know me, I see a few new faces on here. My name is Valerie Bledsoe. I am a master herbalist. And I've actually been in the alternative health field for 43 years. And people ask me, why, with so many years in this industry, why am I so passionate about utilizing these soul products for my clients? And about 10 years ago, well, right at 10 years ago is when we started with the soul products. And within the first year or two, I started seeing very quickly in my store that I had that people were coming in more and more and wanting the soul products as opposed to other products I had on my shelves. And I also noticed that when I used the soul products for people's programs, that they did not need as many combinations or formulas and multiple products in order to get the benefits. So the soul products allowed me to go straight to that root or that foundational level and start to adjust and support the health. So as we know, and as we teach, the body heals itself. It doesn't make any mistakes, and we give it the right plants, the right nutrients, the right, water, movement, the whole 9 yards, that the body heals and gets better. And what I consistently saw with the soul products is people were not only feeling better physically, they were feeling better mentally and emotionally. And what that translated to was they were following through and staying on their programs. They would take their stuff. They were being consistent, which meant they were getting results, and they were more guaranteed to get the results. And that to me was exciting, because that's what I've always been about, working towards getting the foundation of the issue and using the least amount necessary to get the biggest result. For instance, when someone may present to me initially, they may give me a list of 15 different symptoms that they're having, which I have them all document and write down. And again, we look at, settle on anywhere from generally 3 to 4 products. Most usually it's right around 3. And we see how many of those symptoms disappear with consistent use of these products for the first 30 days, 30 to 45 days. And inevitably, it's about 80%, if not sometimes 100% of the symptoms that begin to shift. So again, helping to show to them that less is more. And when we identify what symptoms are still left, then we can target in with that. So when I had customers start telling me, well, Valerie, you're just all about soul. I'm like, well, no, you guys are all about soul. This is what you are showing me. This is what you are wanting to purchase. I'm running my inventory numbers. I know what's selling and I know what's not selling. So the things you see over here in the 50-cent, discount bin are there because you guys don't want it. You want the soul products. So once I was able to relay that information, it was a fantastic experience that I saw many, actually multiple times, have that conversation. It was just very eye-opening to both them and myself. It wasn't me knowing it was better and trying to convince them. I didn't have to convince them. They felt it, they experienced it. And so I still remember very distinctly, and I don't remember what herb I had sitting in this, basket for 50 cents. And they were asking me what it was and what it did. What I do remember is that it worked with blood sugar. And they're like, well, why have you got this marked down for 50 cents? I said, well, because, it hasn't moved off the shelf fast enough. And they said, well, why would anyone want this anyway? Cinnamate works really good and tastes great and has all these benefits. And I'm like, oh, you just sealed the deal for me. I know I'm doing my best job taking care of you. If you are telling me you don't want the 50-cent on sale product, that you want the one that that's going to address all these foundational issues. So that was really neat and exciting to me. And like I said, I tracked those numbers for years because most of it's almost exactly 2 years ago now that I closed my brick and mortar. So I had 8 years of data to support what my customers were wanting. And so much so that literally, and I had been very picky what I had on the shelf anyway, the main products that were available were Solle products. And so in my little space, I had them. They were everywhere just to fill up the holes that had showed up on all my shelves because that was the only stuff that was moving. So that to me is really exciting and very much proof that it works. So that's how I wanted to kind of start off, because people do often have that question, And
I love that testimonial. I thought of it this week because I know some of you have brick and mortar. And you've had very similar experiences. So it was a different testimonial this week about how Solle changes lives. And I really love that. You never know whose life you're going to touch because you switched a product that they were used to taking, and then they loved what you suggested, knew even more. And that helped. I love the story of the customer who said, why do you have that on sale in the 50-cent bin? And what does it do? And she said, it works for blood sugar. And the person said, well, why would you use that product when Cinnamate does that and more and tastes better? And I can just take Cinnamate. So I thought I would share that testimonial with you this week because I love Valerie. I respect her very, very much. She's been doing this business way longer than I have. I have herbal knowledge, about 30 years of herbal knowledge, but I've never run a brick and mortar. And I would never do consultations like she did, or like Sybil does, or like Dr. Jenkins does, which I know is important for some people. And so I wanted you to hear that directly from Val, and how organically people just shift to something that's better. And this is why I love Solle so very much, because they can do with a small reduced line of products what a lot of people think that they have to have 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 products in their product line to be able to help people. And I love that Solle can accomplish that by using key adaptogenic herbs in their formulas and adding a different combination of herbs to accomplish something much greater than the one thing maybe the person came in looking for. And that's why I asked my friend, he is one of the founders and he is the president of Solle Naturals, Mr. Greg Halliday, to talk to us. And he does that twice a month for those of you who are new. He does that twice a month with our group in English and in Spanish, and all the way down my success line with all of the groups that I have. So he's busy all the time. I don't know how he has time to run the company, but he's always doing webinars for somebody in my group. And I love you for it, Greg. And so I asked Greg this week, sorry about the glare again, I apologize. I have to hold it way back here. I don't have my office chair yet, and I don't have a shade. So the sun is shining in my face, and half the time I can't see the screen. So, but I do see the glare. I asked Greg to speak to us about one of the 3 blends that are in SolleComplete protein. It is more than just a protein. It is SolleComplete Protein Plus. And so I wanted you to know why it's plus. We've talked about SolleComplete many times before in the last 2 years, but I wanted to really break it down because we do have a protein source. We're not going to be talking about the protein source today. I asked Greg to talk about the Solle Stamina Mind and Body Lifting Proprietary Blend. Lifting, because you can see the label is red. It's in the lift category, and the lift category is one that I love to talk about, because in this day and age where people are overworked and super stressed and love becoming workaholics, they have organs that are going crazy doing a lot of stuff, and then they have organs that are overworked and tired because they're overworked, right? And so what I love about the SolleComplete Protein Plus is that this is not just a protein product. It's not just a meal substitute. It is way more. And so I have asked Greg to talk to us, because the stamina part really talks about what adaptogens do and why this product in particular is in the lift category, how it helps to energize and do more balanced digestion, more balanced energy, and support the entire body in its function. So Greg, thank you for being with us this week. I've gone ahead and made you co-host. I know you have a couple of slides that you want to share. Thanks for being here, and tell us a little bit about, I mean, what I love about Solle is you could have done a protein product, right? Protein products are a dime a dozen. You can get them with soy, with whey. You can even get them with pea protein. Some of them are not very good. Some of them are better. But what makes SolleComplete, to me, complete is all of these extra ingredients that you've put in, and it makes it way better than just a protein product. So won't you tell us about that today?
You bet, Deb, and hello, everybody. It's good to be here with you. Let me jump right to the slides and just show you what a little bit about what we had in mind as we finalized this formula. As Debbie mentioned, we've had this for a number of years now, and it's kind of interesting because a lot of times people just call it the protein. Oh yeah, I've used the protein, and we realize that yeah, you can get, depending on whether you're getting the natural or the Dutch cocoa version, you get just a little more protein, obviously with the Dutch cocoa. And so you can get plenty of protein, a good amount. And a lot of people do use it as a swap out for a meal. Sometimes that's part of a desire to drop some weight. Other times, people have even done it because they know I can give myself at least one meal that's packed with nutrients, that has nothing at all whatsoever in it that is hard on my body or even, bad for my body or mind. In fact, one thing I wanted to share with you, because I loved hearing this here a few days ago. Well, actually, it was just 2 nights ago. Let me think here. I want to give you the right person. I can't remember, but it's not even been a week. There've been a few Zooms I've been on. And one person was sharing how she asks herself a question before every meal. And now I remember who it was. It's Christy Malone. So this was Monday night. And Christy was saying the question she asks is this good for my brain? It's so interesting. I love that question, because if we look at foods and say, is this good for my brain? And we can answer that question, yes, we're going to have a wonderful diet. We're going to have a wonderful selection, wonderful dietary habits for what we would call like the tabletop foods, or what we have at mealtime. And so I actually love that. Her comment resonated with me, because we all know that there is a very close connection between the gut, all parts of the process of digestion and absorption and metabolism of nutrients, a really, really super close neural connection to the brain and the gut. And so when I do things that make a big difference in my gut, I'm going to make a big difference immediately in my brain, and vice versa. If I actually feed my brain, I make different decisions with what I'm going to put in my gut, so to speak. So for point number one, is recognizing that close connection. Point number 2 that I wanted to share is this is sometimes referred to as a protein SolleComplete, but it is actually the majority of the nutrition is beyond protein. And that sometimes surprises people. Even though there's a great amount of protein, a very special source that is, some people believe, the perfect makeup for human absorption of proteins is in this particular plant source that we use in SolleComplete. In addition, consuming this type of protein that's in SolleComplete has been shown to improve cravings and food choices. So there are lots of benefits of that protein, and yet, would you believe it's the smaller part of this product? The larger part is what we're going to talk about today. And then I think next time, Debbie wants to talk about the rest of what I would say is the larger part of this formula. When we set out to formulate this, we wanted to address specifically the issues, the digestive issues that people face and the parallels, the mental parallels. Okay, so that's a little different than just making a protein. Secondly, we wanted to have a product that would help people heal. So we do believe that most people's guts are compromised, a small amount or a large amount, and that the gap between a balanced gut and the daily situation for people is widening, meaning that we're getting further and further away just in our daily experience from what real digestion should feel like and absorb because of the factors in our modern lifestyle, both stress, both from toxins and chemicals, lifestyle pace, such a sped up lifestyle, and not allowing the body to settle in, down to food choices, down to the very foods themselves being altered, very many of them genetically. And I could go on. I mean, the list is pretty long. Our use of technology, constant electromagnetic, just what we're exposed to, it has its effect. And it's amazing that we live in a world where we've got a lot of these plant sources to help us mitigate those challenges and actually get on top of them. So really this product, SolleComplete, Protein Plus is the little subtitle on the package. It is about the improvement of the gut. In fact, I've told people before when we talk about this product, when someone mentions anything to do with, I have a lot of inflammation when I eat, like my gut just feels full, or I have a lot of gas, or I have a really heavy feeling with the meal that will stay for hours, or I feel a lot of acid. Maybe it's acid reflux. Maybe it's just a very uncomfortable, more acidic feeling, or any number of complaints that we might have that have to do with eating and meal times, and not just around meal times, but any time we eat. This product is specifically designed to help that. It is because of the rest of the supplementation that is included with the protein that this can be. It's a really good, mild, hypoallergenic protein, and it's helpful, but the therapeutics of the formula are included in these other groups. So today, I know that's kind of a long intro, but I wanted you to see our objective and the mindset in preparing this formula. And that was the mindset and remains the mindset, that not only is it a good meal for someone, now you might want to add something to it. It's not meant to include every single thing you might want in a balance. But if for instance, if you're replacing a meal, you can do mix-ins. And there are lots of great ideas that people have given for mix-ins. But not only is it for that, but it's also meant to improve the situation day after day with constant use, to improve like the gut lining, to improve the efficiency of absorption and digestion, to improve the way our body handles blood sugar, I mean, all these sort of issues that are related to digestion have various herbs included in the formula to address them, not just one, but various. So this first slide is about the energy part of it. Believing as we do that almost everyone operates on a low energy spectrum compared to what we could be, in not just like mentally and emotionally as well, but also from a digestive and absorbing, being able to extract nutrients from what we eat takes energy. There are processes in there that burn energy, that require energy. And then there are processes, part of metabolism, that actually create it. But we have to make the proper building blocks, and there's all this stuff that has to happen, right? And when we operate perennially low energy, why do we think it's going to be enough, that we're going to really get what we need? So this blend was put in SolleComplete specifically to do that, as Debbie said, to lift, to provide more energy. Plants are energetic creations. So when we get them fresh and when we get them properly extracted and stored, they retain a lot of that energy, and they have a variety of therapeutic compounds that our body needs in order to complete the process of metabolism. And so that's what this first group is. Look how many herbs in this group, because I know many of you on this Zoom, you probably know all the herbs on this slide. Astragalus, green tea, rose hips, eleuthero or Siberian ginseng, ginkgo biloba, rhodiola, rooibos leaf, yerba mate, and ginger. So what is that? 9 herbs. These 9 herbs make up the stamina blend. Please don't think of it as just physical stamina. Think of it as emotional stamina as well, both those things, okay? So let me just tell you a couple of, I think, hopefully interesting facts about the particular extracts, because the thing that I always hope to mention, remember, I want to always mention this. A plant powder has many different options. Plants are extracted in very many different ways. So you can't just say, oh, I have green tea, I have ginkgo. Well, what kind? What's the extract like? You can concentrate them, and sometimes they're 4 and 5 and even 10 times concentrated, that amount of powder that would be just if you ground up the leaf. Other times, some of the compounds are concentrated, and the rest is left in the natural powder. That's called a standardized extract, standardized to a particular component in it. An example of that is the number 2 ingredient you see on the slide, green tea leaf. This is not just green tea powder that you would drink. This actually is a special extract that is 50% of the powder in EGCG, which is the amazing antioxidant of green tea. It's a group of antioxidants, actually, of compounds. And so the green tea leaf is not just tea that you're getting here. It's a specially derived extract of antioxidants from green tea. And then you could look at the others, and several of those are also extracted to a concentrated level 4 times the normal. So we don't need very much of them, is my point in the powder. A small amount can make a big difference. Notice that we have astragalus, eleuthero, rhodiola, rooibos, and ginger. That's 5 that are adaptogens. 5 adaptogens in there. They have their famous attributes, like astragalus for your immune system and inflammation, and eleuthero for mood lifting and energy. Rhodiola, same thing, wonderful for muscle recovery, but also mood lifting. Rooibos, which helps the body process fats better and metabolize more efficiently. And yerba mate, which has more vitamins, minerals, and amino acids than any multivitamin I know of. And in fact, it's not even close, since you're getting upwards of 180 known beneficial compounds as, sort of a combined, all these vitamins, minerals, amino acids, etc. So what you have in this group is highly nutritious. They all have different strengths, But together, there's a great deal of bolstering up and filling in gaps of nutrients and lifting the strength and efficiency of all of our metabolism and digestive processes. And then you can see a little more attention to specifically the mind, knowing that everything else takes its lead from how we feel and how well our brain functions. Ginkgo biloba. One of the big reasons for that is, and rhodiola, I would add as well, and eleuthero, in our mind, were the big three, giving special attention to mental acuity in this formula. So Soul Stamina is all about that. Now, let me just, if I can, because I don't want to take too long today, but would you mind if I just show you a couple of highlights of a few of these ingredients? We'd have time for all of them, but maybe 4 or 5 of them, okay? Because to me, they help me keep a clear picture of why this nutrition and who I can help. Because people will often comment on how they feel and give us great clues, won't they, as to what we can do in terms of their diet, nutrition that can help. So these are a few that people are sometimes surprised are in their protein drink. Rose hips, ginger, rooibos, ginkgo biloba, okay, in my protein drink. And so this is kind of why this is from Dr. Allison. She prepared these slides a while ago, and I love them. Okay, so rose hips are the fruits. Those are the fruits that grow, right, from rose. Super high in vitamin C, really high and good for your eyes, lutein, high in lycopene as well. Do you know rose hips also have essential fats? Essential fatty acids are part of them. It's a wonderful antioxidant protectant, and highly anti-inflammatory. Anytime we can help the body with inflammation because of everything in our world that causes it, then we're pushing back and balancing ourselves. So that's why we'll mention anti-inflammatory so much. People have shown when they eat rose hips, and if you've ever, I don't know if everybody's ever tried them, they taste good. They're actually quite tasty. We actually have a rose bush that will grow them in our yard, and I'll sometimes just pick them and eat them. They've got 50% more vitamin C than an orange. That usually gets people like, what? Yeah, because how often do you think, oh, I'm going to go eat an orange, especially in the wintertime, and I'm going to boost my immunity. Rose hips have more. In fact, they have half again. In fact, we did lab tests on SolleComplete out of curiosity, letting the powder sit longer in the warehouse than we normally do. We saved a bag. We wanted to let it sit. Vitamin C doesn't always keep as long. And would you know that one serving, so that's 2 scoops of SolleComplete, right? That's 1 serving, had almost 3 grams of vitamin C, 3,000 milligrams. That's 3 of those 1,000 milligram tablets of vitamin C that people will take. 1 serving has 3 of those. Much of that is due to the rose hips. That usually surprises people. My protein drink, high in vitamin C? What? Yes. It's also very good for skin, and because of the vitamin A content in rose hips. There were some great articles on it. And you know what they found? They found this, Dr. Allison put this on the slide because it goes with what the entire soul philosophy is, that if we can try to get plants as complete as possible, like not extracting a substance out of them, which is what drugs are, but trying to get retain as much of the plant as we can, then we get much better result. Everything is improved to a great degree. And that's what they found in studies with rose hips. They're not always sure whether it's because of the vitamin C or the polyphenol group or other compounds that are unique to rose hips, but they found that all of the extracts, so they used extracts that were emphasizing different aspects of it, and they all worked in a number of things because all these extracts are essential to and difference makers in health and metabolism. The final summary of that is they even noticed blood sugar was managed better and less inflammation in your stomach and intestine and through the whole GI tract. So rose hips are, they might be that thing you just glance over and don't think about in SolleComplete, but they're a big part of this formula. Now, here's another big part, the ginkgo biloba. It's the, this is the tree that was the symbol of Confucius. Here's a nice quote from Dr. Allison from Confucius: when it is obvious that the goals cannot be reached, don't adjust the goals, adjust the action steps. Okay, that can apply to our health, right? When we're working on things. Don't give up hope. Adjust how you get there. So those are just a couple of fun facts about the ginkgo. Ginkgo, because it is an MAO inhibitor, it has its use with migraines and many other mood-related issues. And ginkgo is shown to be a very strong MAO inhibitor. There are wonderful memory studies. There are wonderful studies improving people that deal with vertigo. That can come because of different reasons. The ginkgo, some people will list ginkgo on adaptogen lists. It probably in a lot of ways is quite adaptogenic, although I haven't necessarily seen the complete, that it says complete as adaptogens, other things. It's an excellent combination with adaptogens. And here's the next one, ginger. So again, now we're looking at headaches, coming back to the story. How often are headaches and migraines and such directly related to the real imbalances being digestive and intestinal? How often can that be the case in life? And ginger is right there in the middle of dealing with both of those issues because it has these wonderful essential oils, gingerol and zingiberine. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. You probably could pronounce it better than I can. Those are two that are in high amounts in ginger. And in fact, the new product that we'll be introducing in October here in a few weeks, two of the ingredients that are new in this product come from the same family as ginger, but it's a totally different plant that grows in east of Africa. So that's just a little teaser for you. You'll hear more about it here in a couple of weeks. And it has 4 of these different wonderful, 2 other additional ones, but 2 of them that are found in ginger that are directly involved in the way we metabolize and how our body breaks down food and is able to absorb food and then eliminate the waste from those processes. So ginger is another key part. It's both lifting and calming in nature, isn't it? Because it can settle upset stomach and nausea, and yet it also stimulates improved digestion. It's a wonderful antibiotic. It inhibits menstrual pain. It helps the blood be healthier, the blood vessels. And then here's a little study that Dr. Allison put in there. I've never tried this. This is something that she had shared when we launched this, where a little like mini cleanse with ginger, a bunch of ginger and butter, believe it or not. So I'm guessing fresh farm butter, moves food into the small intestine faster, kind of helps clean it out by improving bile flow from the liver. And bile is so important we've learned, eliminating toxins from the body, obviously digesting your fats, needs fiber to do all that, but it also processes and breaks down hormones once they've been used, and they have to be metabolized and eliminated, right? Bile can't do that effectively without bile. So ginger gets right in there with king liver or queen liver, however you want to say it, because the liver is right there in the middle, and ginger is going to make a difference there. So yes, not only does it give us strength, ginger, I look at it as a gut strengthener more because it pulls inflammation down. It protects. It also inhibits things that tend to cause inflammation. It kind of does both of that, but it's a rejuvenator because it helps our body get more nutrition out of what we eat. Body gets more nutrition, gets better nutrition, can rebuild, can rejuvenate. And on top of that, we mentioned the last slide, it's antimicrobial, right? One of the microbes that they found, H. pylori, that bacteria, is inhibited with ginger if we increase the ginger in our diet. So ginger is pretty important. Rooibos, not as commonly known here, unfortunately, comes from South received its fame from South Africa, usually eaten or drunk as a tea. We don't, we might drink herbs like a hot tea, but we don't do the tea bags. We want to dissolve the entire extract and drink it versus just steep things off of it and then throw away the rest of the plant because we want to get more benefit from them. So rooibos is a lifting and an energy boosting plant. It is a bush that boosts our immunity, that protects us with antioxidants. And I'm trying to think if I have another slide. Yes. It also is, in our opinion, an adaptogen. Again, you won't see rooibos on a lot of those lists, but we believe it is because, to quote Dr. Allison, if something directly benefits the HPA axis, hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenals, in a measurable way, it's the number one indicator, in her opinion, of an adaptogen. Now, it has to have the other qualities. It has to be safe for daily use. And in our opinion, adaptogens, you have to be able to use them safely every day in whatever levels. Otherwise, you may have an effective plant, but that's not an adaptogen. And then it's got to be an immune modulator. So what it does with your immune system is it doesn't make it overactive. It makes it perform better. It's got to have many compounds on either side of imbalance. So some things that move us directionally one way and others that complement that, so that whatever the body needs, it can take and can find in the adaptogen. Well, rooibos seems to have all of those. And there are some great studies with anxious tension going down. So rooibos to bringing calm to the mind and focus by taking tension and anxiousness away. Some other studies that show clarifying the blood. Other studies that show, obviously, allergies you can see. So rooibos is a perfect match for SolleComplete because of all that. And I'm going to stop. That's next time, the next blend. But so that's just, like Debbie said, there's three blends in SolleComplete. There's the proteins, there's the one we talked about today, and then there's this third one, which is all about extra help in healing the gut, because I mentioned that was the purpose of the product. So hopefully today's just gave you a little food for thought in terms of what you find in SolleComplete that's going to be a lifter, that's going to bring more energy to digestion and metabolism and how our body extracts nutrients from what we eat.
Food
All
for
right.
thought, pun intended.
Yes, no pun intended there.
That pun was totally intended. You made me think of a lot of things, like a lot of imbalances that people suffer with, like IBS or spastic colon, all of these things that can be helped just from the Soul Stamina Mind Body Blend in SolleComplete. Food allergies is a big one, right? Inflammation. I love that it wasn't just inflammation in the gut. It actually addresses inflammation in the joints. What I love about SolleComplete Protein Plus is that the dietary fibers, you've got 2 grams of fiber in there. And we'll talk about this next week when we talk about the beautiful, I love the systemic rejuvenation blend, because that's where all the fibers are, right? But it also has healing herbs, right? Like the ginkgo biloba, which really helps the body heal quickly. The rooibos. So you can talk about healing the large and small intestine, like people who have imbalances like Crohn's, things like that, right? I have a friend, and she is a soul person. She had severe food allergies and really couldn't tolerate anything. Very few foods could she tolerate. And she actually started using the SolleComplete Protein Plus and found great improvements in her gut health. She also suffered from leaky gut, which most people have if you have food allergies, right? Or if you have something like, was the one that's gluten intolerance, celiac disease. Celiac disease, if you suffer from gluten intolerance, you have a lot of inflammation. Sugar makes it worse. And what I love about this is these are natural sugars, right? And then there's enough fiber to combat the sugar that's in it, even though it's a natural sugar. And like you said, you can do a lot of mix-ins and make a really healthy meal swap if you wanted to. But when I think of SolleComplete Protein Plus, I think of the bile aspect. And I love that you mentioned that with rooibos directly, and how it helps with the bile. You know, if you're not producing enough bile, your lymphatic system doesn't work well. And what I love about SolleComplete Protein Plus, because it is so high in vitamin C, it helps the immune system, it helps the brain feel happy. But you're also helping the liver in the bile production and how digestion and absorption takes place. And you really start to heal those holes, if you will, in the gut, you know, those pockets that can really cause a lot of pain. And just in case you're new and don't know, Soul doesn't use soy protein or whey protein. This is pea protein. This yellow pea protein, and we're gonna talk about this at another class. So there's a lot of benefit to taking this product. I love that it's so full of adaptogens, and it's safe to use every day if you wanted to use it as a meal replacement, or if you were looking to gain weight. I know some people have a hard time gaining weight. You could actually use this in between meals. You could use a full serving or a half a serving to complement what you're eating. And I will tell you that I have been taking part in using the new mystery product that will be launched in October. And for me, when I take it in conjunction, well, I take the mystery product in the morning and I set myself up for the day because it immediately stops cravings. I don't think about things like cinnamon rolls in the morning when I'm taking the mystery product. But when I pair it up, because this is usually my last meal of the day, so I pair this with my Soul Royal and a couple of other herbs. And I have to tell you that I have found, I weighed myself this morning and I was in shock because last week, Jerry and I were both home on Saturday morning and it was a lazy morning, and I decided to make cinnamon rolls. And on the weekends, I was telling this to Lon Hudman too, on the weekends, I tend to forget to take my mystery product or my shake. And so I gave in to the temptation, and I had gained a pound and then got back on my program. And when I weighed myself, when I started using this, I was between 173 and 175 pounds, because you know your weight fluctuates during the day anyway. So I was calling it even at 174. This morning when I weighed myself, I was 168. So that's 2 weeks into the program, 2.5 weeks into, and I'm not doing any special cleansing or anything. I'm just using my products, taking my drinks, but using the mystery product. So if you want to know more about the mystery product and how it will work with something like SolleComplete, then you need to stay tuned, because I will bring back, in case you can't go to Summit, I will bring back all of that information, because that product will be launched at Summit. And so I know Greg is going to have a million people asking, can you do a class on this? Can you do a class on that? And so I have already said, yeah, I have Greg the second or fourth week. So in October, we will have finished talking about SolleComplete, and then we can talk about mystery product. Okay, are we cool? All right. Well, Greg, I love what you've done this week. Thank you so much for sharing such awesome information. And guess what? We're going to close our show the way we always do, with a wonderful health tip from Dr. Hugh Jenkins. Dr. Jenkins, thank you for being on. Open your microphone, please, so that we can hear you.
Okay, that was
Awesome.
a great presentation, and I'm glad that I'm at the end to complete it, complete protein, okay? And one thing that's very beneficial about the program, specifically when you're going through a cleanse, because I've been specializing in fasting for decades, and I put my clients, patients on a cleansing program, which includes herbs, a protein drink, and juices and raw foods. Now it used to just be fruits. So by putting in the protein, that helps to, one, start the process and accelerate the process of cleansing the body, because you would want to prepare the body for a fast. And it doesn't make a difference if it's intermittent fast all the way up to a 40-day fast, so that you won't be going through the trials and tribulations of the toxins coming out and you're feeling bad on the fast. Now, the body has been broken down from life and dis-ease, so we need to build that up with the proteins. And you got all the amino acids. What's the SolleComplete can provide all 20 amino acids. And people say, well, I need to have a protein with animal source. But what's going on nowadays, the animals are so toxic, when they make it a protein, that's putting more toxins into your system. We want to detoxify the body so that you will get much better benefit. If you're an athlete, one thing is important is that as you exercise, you're creating what is called micro traumas, causing slight destruction to the tissues. I was told I've known for years that you should drink a protein drink within 30 to 45 minutes of exercise. But a personal trainer told me it's more important in that first 30 minutes to replenish that. So by putting that in there, and you can exercise while you're cleansing and fasting. Okay, so during the cleansing program, during the fasting program, and also when you break the fast, to go into a corrective diet. Because most folks, like you said, Debbie, you're sweets. So as you clean that stuff out of there, make it much better, and you get fantastic benefit, because it repairs, it builds, and it heals the body, because the majority of our body is made of proteins. Right. Our bones, our organs, our brains, tissues. When you combine that with the soul roll of the collagen, it kicks it up a notch. So one thing that I'd like to share with people is I did write my book, Fasting Prayer, God's Healing Therapy, that came out last month. It's on Amazon. So that would help to accentuate and educate you for the protein. Okay, thank you for that, allowing me to share that information.
That was awesome. And you made me think of something that Greg mentioned in the presentation in Dr. Allison's notes, where she talks about how this helps with the bile production. When you were talking about cleansing, she gave that little recipe of butter. And do you remember what it was?
The ginger.
Yes.
Yes.
I would rather take butter and ginger for 7 days and really, really make the liver work and cleanse gently and produce better bile and get rid of the gunk in my lymphatic system than I would doing a regular gallbladder cleanse with the olive oil and then that other, and it's so harsh and you can barely move without having an accident. Let me tell you, I did it. I did that liver cleanse. I did the liver gallbladder cleanse, and I had to be like 2 steps away from the bathroom because literally I was in the bedroom, which was about 10 steps from the bathroom. And by the time I made it to the bathroom the 3rd time, I had to take a shower because it is really, really hard, right? If you've ever done that gallbladder cleanse, it is really hard. I would rather do that recipe that she had. So when you play back this recording, just write it down. It said 50 grams of butter, right? With, I can't remember how much ginger, but you'll see it in the playback. So yeah, it's really good. Sybil, if you have to ask a question, go ahead and open your microphone, but remember, we're not going to talk about diseases or anything like that.
Right. I took a picture of that recipe, but like, I didn't grow up with grams. How much is 50 grams of butter? I do tablespoons. Hello. And also ginger. I break it off in pieces. So
you could do a quick conversion. You can find it on Google. You can find it like 50 grams of butter. I think is like about 8, not quite 8 tablespoons. It might be like half a stick of butter.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's I would rather do that, Dr. Jenkins, than do that harsh gallbladder cleanse. And some people will say, that's enough cleansing for me. Well, you're only cleansing one part of your body when you do that, right? And what I love is that
if you're doing intermittent fasting, you can add that during your eating window. The intermittent fasting, usually the most popular was 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours of
and this doesn't break your fast.
No, because it depends on fasting. From what I learned from one of the world's authority, Dr. Elvina Fulton, fasting is absence of solid food. So
Right.
you can have a juice fast, a protein fast, and all the way up to an air fast, which is most extreme, but then most of it's water fast.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Sybil, go ahead. And then we're going to go ahead and close up shop for this week. I can't wait to tell you about the new product. I can't even tell you the name right now. So you guys are my list of people who will know. And then I'll tease people on Facebook and Instagram. And when they really, really want to know, I will tell them. But you guys are going to be the first to know.
I've noticed in my old age, I sometimes have a problem digesting fats. Like I got a cauliflower pizza one day and I got really bad, it could have been a heart attack, but it was indigestion. It cleared up with herbs. But I'm wondering, so if I did something like that, would I just add some extra digestive enzymes with the butter and ginger, or would you recommend I went a different route?
That's pretty much personal preference, but if I were going to do it, I'd probably add more enzymes.
Okay.
I'd probably add more enzymes or maybe a little fiber, something like the SolleComplete that has just the right amount of fiber in there, a little bit of protein. And it's got all of the digestive parts that you need, right? Because I know she included that recipe there just for FYI, because there's enough ginger in here, that you could do that and help the gallbladder increase the bile production. So just remember that lift products don't stimulate, they help increase energy. And so if you are having a problem digesting, it's because some part of the digestive system is very low in energy. And that's why I always recommend that when you're doing the 4-month to Better Health program, that when you get to the 4th month, that's why you don't start with this. Because your body really has to get balanced and then slowly detox before it can tolerate good nutrition. So, and that's probably why you're having a hard time, Sybil, tolerating certain things, is because maybe there's still imbalances in the body. And so we want to address those in the 4-month. But remember, I also promised you something new will be your good, better, best list. And that is not done yet, but you will have it soon. At least you will have a picture of it and you can print it and you can show your customers.
But just so FYI, I got in my accident 10 years ago, January, and I immediately started having digestive problems, and I thought it was due to stress. And I had food allergies and rashes. And when I went to the allergy doctor, they told me I was allergic to ginger. So I cut back. Ginger is one of my favorite things. So I cut way back on it and have been avoiding, like when I go to my favorite vegan juice bar, sometimes I say, lay off the ginger in my juice. And I think it's hysterical that my gut has improved this year while I've been taking ginger, which the doctor told me not to take.
Yeah, and I know that you have used the SolleComplete, and SolleComplete has ginger in it. And you haven't broken out in hives. So I love that. The body knows how to heal itself. Remember, if you give it what it needs in the right proportions, that's also the other part of the equation, right? You need to give it what it wants to get better, but you need to give it the right amount, not too much, not too little, just right. Just what Dr. Jenkins has been trying to teach us all this year. So I love you guys. I'm so excited to share. And that's why we're talking about SolleComplete right now, because this is going to be a great combo. It's going to be a great combo with your Soul Royal and the mystery product. You're going to love it. And if I could lose, some weight and had my stupid cinnamon roll, I'm not advocating for the cinnamon roll. I'm saying if you are good, I've since made the corrections. I am back on my raw foods. I am back doing the things that I need to do. But I was so excited. I weighed myself this morning, and it was not this morning. It was when I got back from doing my errands. It was like 12:30. I'd already had my cinnamate, my Ezekiel, and I'd had a shake, and I weighed myself, and I just thought, what? I've lost weight. This is amazing. So yeah, it's a great combination. I think you're really going to love it. And it's not going to change our 4-month program. I'm just saying that. It's not going to change the 4-month program. I said too much. You figure out what month it might be in. I love you guys. Take care. Have a great week. See you soon.